One of the first questions is, the state of Maryland spends about $1.5 billion every year on illegal immigration costs, which includes education, health care, incarceration of illegal immigrants. Who are those affected in each of these areas, and who is ultimately responsible for paying these costs at this time? Who would like to deal with that question?
I'll take that, since that figure may be ours, actually. I think ours is 1.65 billion for Maryland, and that's the cost of illegal immigration for what you mentioned. Who pays for it is taxpayers and the citizens, legal residents of Maryland. Everyone pays for those costs. People come here legally or illegally. Most people come here to get a job, and it's a rational decision. If I can go somewhere, another country, get a job that's better than the job I can get in my home country, and I'm going to do it with relative ease, they're going to make that decision and they're going to do that. Better life for their family, everyone wants that. The problem that we have here is we have employers who are willing to hire people illegally, and the government's willing to look the other way. There's a virtual impunity for employers in the United States. If they get caught, they're slapped on the wrist and they promise not to do it again. The cost is really, it's subsidized, the government's subsidizing low-wage labor, and the taxpayers of Maryland and the United States are paying for it. The costs are borne by the taxpayers, and the profits are realized by the companies, the employers who do that. For schools, a lot of the cost is for teaching children who don't speak English. We're not going to not teach these children. That's not something we would not do in the United States of America, but that costs money. We need to devote resources to that. We need to devote resources to caring for people who need emergency medical care. So the way that we would advocate cutting down those costs is to cut down on the illegal alien population by enforcing the law. In Maryland, that is not something our governor has chosen to do. One of his initiatives is in-state tuition for people who are in the state illegally, which is an incentive for people to come and reside illegally in Maryland. So really, it's the taxpayers, and if we talk about who's most affected competing with these people coming and taking these jobs, it's recent immigrants are the ones who are most affected. They're the ones who are hardest hit by job losses, are people who have come here most recently as immigrants. They're the ones who are most directly competing with people who come here illegally.
Thank you. Most of these big companies, they hire, I hate to use the word legal, but most of those people, they're being hired by McDonald's, one of the big companies, and by other companies. They don't follow the rules at times when it comes to, I have to do a background check. Obviously, if you work for the government, you have to do a background check. I think the big companies, I'm talking about the big companies, should get penalized for this safe money that they need to have someone that's getting $6 an hour or $6.50 an hour. As a matter of fact, when I go to McDonald's, and I always have stores here, I usually ask the lady, how much are they getting paid here? Oh, $7. And she does speak some English. And then I go and say, listen, I have a part-time job, would you like to work for me? And so, what do you do? Well, I have a cleaning company. And she goes, oh, how much you pay an hour? Oh, I pay $5. Oh, give me your phone number. So obviously, she doesn't have the papers to work at McDonald's. Obviously, she doesn't have. And this is what bothers me a little bit. How can we improve the system? How can we do things better? I'm talking about McDonald's. I mentioned the name. McDonald's gets sued if they like, but that's the bottom line. That is the truth. It's an issue that when it comes to people, that Pedro is here with no papers, and Jose is here with papers, and he's a United States citizen, and then he helped his brother come into the country. I'm talking about nice people. I'm not talking about someone who's bringing guns or who's bringing other things that could hurt our country. So I guess we could start with the big companies and see if we can do things a little bit better than E-Verify. it's just something that our community, the Latino community, needs to do. And I always go and have discussed this with people in immigration. I'm sure all remember 1981, Marielitos. My dad did run that project. Juan Alejandro Salazar was my father. And I'm sure you're aware of this, when the Marielitos came in 1980-81, they came to Miami when Castro opened all the jails, and then when they came here, they were committing crimes, and then, well, wait a minute, these people, there's something wrong with these people, let's put them to jail, but they haven't committed any crimes, so they have to let them go. So, hey, these people are not right, they're a little bit crazy, let's take them to San Elizabeth's hospital, let's take them to different sites because of their rights. They didn't commit a crime in this country. The doors were open. Many Cubans arrived. I hope they're nothing against Cubans. Cubans arrive into Miami. Right away, they get a green card. So we gotta fix. Something is broken, and we're not fixing it. This has been going on for years.
Some of the jobs that are being done by illegal immigrants in this state are as painters, construction workers, housekeepers, nannies, cooks, restaurant workers, gardeners, landscapers, and other miscellaneous types of work. There are healthcare requirements, certifications, and some educational requirements that are expected in these jobs. Can we expect that preparatory requirements are being obtained and presented by illegal workers? Will American workers do these jobs for decent pay? Would you consider that unfair wages and a lack of benefits to the illegal workers is immoral to them, as well as to this being an unfair competition to the vulnerable or poor American workers who are already at the bottom of the economic scale? Who benefits from this inequality in the pay scale? Who would like to take this question? That's a loaded question, I know.
Well, as I mentioned previously, it is the lower to the least educated, the least skilled who are competing most directly with illegal workers. But I had a fellow who painted my house, and he said, I never imagined after 20 years I'd be struggling to make a living, and I'd be earning less than when I started out. And that is really, that's a reality. Americans have always done these jobs, and they not only will they work for good wages, but they're working now. They have families to support. And just like immigrants, they want to better their children's lives. They want to better their own lives and a better life for their children. And sometimes we set it off. I think too often it's, well, these jobs are done by illegals, these jobs are done for Americans, and we don't realize that we're the same people who are doing the same work. And we set up this, we've devalued labor, I think, in a way, where doing certain jobs means that, well, you must be an immigrant if you're doing this job, and that's not the sort of system we want in this country, where certain job is almost, it's a class system in one sense, but it's a caste system where we keep bringing in workers illegally because we want to keep the wages down, and people profit from that. But it's not the American people, and it's not the workers, it's the employers who are profiting from this. And I think that's something we can agree on and work together. Yes, they are exploiting workers, and that is not something that should be acceptable to a Republican or a Democrat or anybody, or American or an immigrant. We should not accept that employers get away with exploiting people, and that is what's going on far too often. And I think, as I said, that is something we can work together to change. If it's not E-Verify, we certainly can make sure that the wage laws are being obeyed, and that licenses, workplace conditions, all of these things, people have to comply, and I think that would solve a lot of the problems. And I think that we would create a better environment for all the workers.
What I was going to say about the minimum wage, if you have a contract directly with the government or with each county, you are allowed to pay the minimum wage. But if you hire help from the outside, you can put any wage that you want. I mean, $7. And for the most part, a lot of persons that don't have the papers, documents, illegals, they have come a long way. Some of them, I'm going to pay you $7 to clean this toilet. You pay me $8.50. They kind of know their rights a little bit. And what I'm saying, if you have someone just came in a week ago and you say $5, he's going to go $5. But he learns fast from his brother or whoever's here with him. Again, I've been to Bayonne, New Jersey, and mostly people from Panama, people from the Dominican Republic, and the painters. They work in Bayonne has been hit so much, just like Woodbridge, Virginia. In doing my outreach programs, I learn a little bit. They leave. Like right now, the end place to be is Lexington and Louisville, Kentucky. You know, they need painters over there. They need carpenters, so they go over there. They gypsies, they run. I mean, they cannot stay in one place. In Maryland, if you need help, you used to go to Home Depot, and there are 20 of those people, and a truck will come in, and they will take 10 or 9 of them, and wages will be $8, $9. It's not easy to control this. It's not easy to supervise such a thing. The message that we need to send to these big companies, to the small companies, it's maybe the solution is not to, hey, I'm not going to hire you because we need this help. I truly believe that some Latinos have that label of we're going to do the construction work, and it's hard for you to find an Afro-American to do it. It's kind of, see, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I will do it. It's been in my mind all night long. And I'm sure some of you know this. A couple of months ago, if you have connections, you can get away with everything in this country too. If you're well connected. A relative from Mr. Obama had got stopped because he was drunk and he was driving under the influence of alcohol. Everybody knows that. And no papers, no driver's license. He got away free. Nothing happened to him. His aunt was working at the White House. Oh, he was watching the kids. She was illegally in the country. No papers, no nothing. I don't know how much she was getting paid an hour, but if you got connections, you can do well. What I know is that if you need to hire someone to do a job, you can do a workers permit, DPS, I think it is. And there are ways that we can fix the problem, but right now, it's just that we're picking the illegal aliens. It's going to be an issue next year for the elections. Obama's already saying that, hey, don't worry, we're going to go this case by case. We're going to try this case by case. We're going to keep everybody here for the time being. If I'm wrong, correct me, because that's what I read. What can we do about it? I guess that's the question. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed now.
Okay, I have a question for you. Going back to your point that employers hire cheap labor. As a consumer, if I call someone from the Yellow Pages and they come, they give me an estimate, they tell me they have a license, I don't know who's coming into my house to do the work. What do you think are some of the things that we can do as consumers to maybe stop some of this?
Ask questions. You know, a lot of times we make decisions based on what's the lowest price, which again is a rational decision to make, but that doesn't always mean you're making a moral decision. And I think, you know, asking for a license, what's your license number? You know, are your workers in the country legally? Are they authorized to work in the United States? It can be embarrassing. I've had to ask that question because of what I do for a living, and it would be very embarrassing if I were to be found out. You know, look, Mitt Romney is a perfect example. And he said, geez, I'm running for office, guys, give me a break. Can't have that. Well, we all should have that sort of attitude that we're running for office, that we're under the public light, that we're in the public light, that our actions, you know, we wouldn't want, whether or not someone's paying attention, we should do the right thing. And, you know, it's asking questions, but it's also talking. You know, not when you have someone come into your home, know who they are. Try to form some sort of relationship with them. You know, see them as a person and not just a worker who's here to do some job for you as cheaply as possible. And I think we've lost that human connection as communities. You know, we talk about people going from one place to another. You know, that's one of the consequences is we don't know our neighbors as like we used to, and we don't know the people who we're dealing with on a daily basis. And that, I think, you know, understanding, you know, who's lived next door to you, who's coming you're in contact with, asking questions, reaching out to people. You know, I think that would be what I would say. It seems simplistic, but you know who's coming in your house and what they're doing there, and whether or not they should be there.